Okay, now that I have this piece here done, the bottom piece, which will go inside of here like this, complete, and it's dried, we're going to go ahead and put the trim or the border on all this. I probably should do the brickwork to this first, so I will probably go ahead and go do that, but when I'm done I'll just overlap that just like that. See, that works perfect. Glue it on, and if I need to, use some pins, some small pins, and just pin this in place until the glue dries. So we're going to go ahead and do this piece right now, and I should probably do the lines on these too, but I will wait until I'm done with this and it's dry. So all I'm going to do is put some glue, some tacky glue on there. No big deal, guys. And smooth it out if you need to. And you might need to use some pins also to keep this in place. You don't have to. You may want to, I don't know. So it's kind of your decision. On this one, I'm not going to do any pins on it. I think I did on the first one I made, because I wanted everything to stay while it dried. You might find that you might have to do some trimming when you're all done too. So when this is all done, dried and glued, you might find things here or there. So let's go and do the lines now for the brickwork on our stove. I am going to go 1/2 inch on this. I think it works just perfect out of 1/2 inch. You get some big bricks out of it. So go ahead and do those, and then draw your lines across, and then do your lines downwards, and make sure you do those opposite of each other. I do prefer to use the fine point Sharpie. I know that Jeremy from Black Magic Craft mentioned it, that somebody mentioned it to him, and I actually kind of really like it. The ink from the pen seems to eat at the foam a little bit, not a crazy amount or anything, but it kind of helps you get those lines. So make sure you got a fresh one and it's not dried out. That and the tip of this is so fine that it kind of goes right through it like butter. Okay, so now we'll just do the top piece, and what I did is I just picked 1.5 inches here. I picked the center at 1.5, and then you just work off from there. However you want to do it. I guess I'm going to go every 1/2 inch there. And see how that comes out. And then all I do is, that's not even going to come up with that. I shouldn't have done it that way. But lesson learned, right? Yeah, I should have went like a little bit differently than this, but that's okay. So when doing your lines on here, make sure you get all sides, inside, outside, all around it, so that's all done and out of the way. Now, when I did my original one, I didn't do any texture to the brick, and you don't have to, but I'm going to on this one. So I'm just going to take my tinfoil ball and just put some texture on it. And I'll do that all along the sides, the inside, the outside, everything I can. And then we'll work on that trim piece, and then we'll start putting this together and making sure everything looks good before we start doing any painting. Now I went ahead and put the trim on. I just used some of the tacky glue and I glued it down, and then I took some pins and I just pinned it in place so it wouldn't move, so it would dry just like that. And of course this sits just right in there, so this would go like this, and then this piece will go like this, and then that's pretty much it, guys. The only thing we got to do now is we have to make the grill for the top, and then a bar for across to hold like the pots and pans or whatever you want to have up there, like it's being smoked or whatever else. So we're almost done. Now what we're going to work on is the steel grate that we need for the wood stove, and we're also going to make the little bar that goes atop. So I went and got these. I'm thinking Hobby Lobby, maybe Michael's, but it's just Woodpile Fun is the name of the company, or Woodpile, and they had a assorted of square dowels. Now the one we're going to be using is the one they say it's 0.1875 inches. It's basically 1/8 by 1/8, and they're 12 inches long, and we're going to use this to make the grates. So first of all, I had to measure the piece, the little piece here, and it was just under 2 inches. And honestly, what I should have done is got a measurement of that and then cut the thing out, because this I noticed was just a little small in here. The last time I did that, I actually made a measurement, and this one I didn't. So as you can see, it's kind of loose. So I think when I'm all said and done, instead of having this become separate, eventually I might just kind of glue it, just pinch this closed just a little bit, just to glue that into place. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but that's what I could do. But I also kind of like it loose like that, so if you wanted to and you didn't want to use this whole thing, you could just take this out, and then you could just have yourself a little wood stove kind of grill type thing, just like that, if that's what you wanted. But enough of that about that. Let's go and cut these pieces out. What I went and did is I measured it. It was just under 2 inches. It was like 1 inch and 14/16 or 7/8. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that and then cut that out. Now what I'm going to use is, I did have this mini handsaw. It's probably out in my garage, but all I have is this blade right now. So I'm basically just using this piece, and I'm just going to cut that out the best I can. So there's one. Okay, so those pieces are done. Now the length and then the width of that, which you'll need, and that's what is the 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the middle pieces, and they are 1/2 inch across. I have learned from the first one that the best way to do this is just go over a little over 1/2 inch when you're cutting them out, and then if you need to, you just sand them down with the 220 sandpaper until you get the right size you need. Right now I'm going to set these ones at 1/2 like they're supposed to be, and then we'll just go from there. Sometimes you just gotta work around what you got. Okay guys, so I got the main frame right now. Like I said, the middle pieces could be 1/2, could be smaller. It all depends on how this comes out. So you might have to just adjust it depending on how it came out when you made the main frame. So all I'm going to do is take some super glue, just put a dab on this side here. And if I had like a pair of small tweezers for this, this would be perfect, but I don't, so I have to do everything by hand. So I will not be surprised if I get super glue on my hands. So I'm just going to glue that one on there. Try to get that to be as square and 90 degree as possible. Sometimes when you cut this wood with that saw, or even with whatever you're cutting it with, you got to be careful, because if you don't get a straight line, everything, it can kind of mess everything up. So I started super gluing this all, and I did the main frame first, and now I'm just putting in small little pieces trying to get them about the right size and just trying to space them right. And then I just put a dab of super glue on the ends. And then just try to keep it in place the best I can as the super glue dries. So you just put in a little bit there and just wait for it to dry, and then just put in another piece and do the same thing until you have it the way you want. That's basically it. When you get that all done, you're all set and done. Just let it dry. Now that I have my grill all set, or cooking surface all set, I need to work on the bar that's going to sit on the piece right here, and it's going to sit up in here and hold the pots and pans if I put pots and pans on it, or if I had pots and pans, put them on there. And all you do is just find a stick about this one's 1 3/4 inches, and all I did is you can probably can't even tell, but you just sand these down at an angle on the 220 sandpaper, and then you just basically find a spot you like till you're happy with it. Make sure it's as level and lined up and straight as much as possible, and then you go ahead and get some tacky glue and tack it on there. Okay guys, so what I got here is another 3x3. We just need 1/8 of an inch for the back wall for this. So I set it up for 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to cut this down. Okay, so then the only thing I'm going to do with this now is put my own brickwork on this, and then this will go on the back of that. Okay, so I got my back piece all set, so when I am ready and I've got everything painted, I can go ahead and put that on for the back wall and put this piece right in here. And then that will be it, all complete before painting. So here is the finished medieval fire stove. Now this is the one I did off camera when I originally made this. And then we have this one here, which I did in the video. Now this one here, and I will explain to you why there's no wall on the back of this one, is my polyurethane spray that I used, the Minwax polyurethane spray, was out in the garage, and it really wasn't at room temperature when I used it. And when I sprayed it, it didn't come out in a mist, it came out in a jet. And when it got on this, not too long after, it melted the whole back. I mean, I could have remade it and everything else and shot this video the way it should be, but I wanted to let you guys know that, hey, we all make mistakes. So that's it for that one. I didn't do the LED lights. Maybe I'll do them in a future one or in a future project. We'll see. But I just wanted to let you guys know that follow instructions, read directions, and pay attention. And like always, ring that like button like a hunchback. Until next time.